Oh boy. Oh boy. Can't stoop any lower. Can't get any more down and out. Can't look any more pathetic. They continue to set a new bar. The Players Association have now started a petition that fans can sign to show their support. That's right. Wait, they started a petition? What is it? www.petition.org? Oh my gosh, this is pathetic. Oh, so nobody really wants this to go on. No, okay. Say no more. Say no more. That's not all we have. The Players Association, the 2025 WNBA season has set records for attendance, been in total, both in total and per game, even before the playoffs. More than 3 million fans have flocked to see stars like Asia Wilson of the Las Vegas Aces and Alyssa Thomas of the Phoenix Mirror.
The WNBA is officially at a breaking point. While Caitlin Clark is shattering records and filling arenas, the Players Union is now begging for a total reset. We're talking about a massive $2 billion TV deal on the table, yet the stars of the league are still fighting for scraps. But is the union being greedy, or are they just exposing the truth about how the league handles the Caitlin Clark effect? The numbers don't add up. We're pulling back the curtain on the secret negotiations, the threat of a 2026 strike, and the real reason the WNBA union is terrified of the current CBA. You've heard the rumors, but today we're looking at the bank accounts. Let's dive into the truth about Caitlin Clark's money that the league doesn't want you to see.
Folks, people can't pick Alyssa Thomas out of a lineup if she was the only one standing in it. If she was the only person standing in a lineup and you come up there and the cop asks you, can you pick out Alyssa Thomas out of this lineup, please? Person will look at you, look at the person behind the glass, look back at the cop. I don't know who Alyssa Thomas is. I don't even know, is this Alyssa? They'd have absolutely no.
The WNBA is currently standing at a crossroads, but instead of taking the path toward legendary growth, the leadership seems to be sprinting in the opposite direction. It's almost hard to watch. We are witnessing what might be the biggest unforced error in the history of professional sports negotiations. You'd think that after a season where attendance shattered records and jerseys were flying off the shelves faster than they could print them, the Players Association would be walking into meetings with all the cards. Instead, they just tried to play a hand that was so weak, it's actually kind of embarrassing. They decided to launch an online petition, yes, a public link on a website, asking fans to sign their names to show support for the players' demands. But here is where it gets really uncomfortable. In a league that just claimed to have 3 million new fans flocking to games, that petition didn't even crack 2,000 signatures in its first major push. It sat there, stalled out at 1,600. For a group of billionaires sitting across the table, that isn't a threat. It's a signal that the massive movement might just be a loud echo chamber. But the petition is only the tip of the iceberg. There's a much deeper, more mysterious tension bubbling under the surface, and it involves the one name the union seemingly refuses to say out loud. If you look at the official messaging coming from the Players Association, they are hyping up the 2025 season by talking about veteran leadership and names like Alyssa Thomas or Asia Wilson. Now, don't get it twisted. Those are incredible athletes. But from a business perspective, the data is screaming something else entirely. Reports surfaced that one single rookie, Caitlin Clark, accounted for over 40% of the entire league's merchandise revenue during a specific stretch. She pulled in over 3 million viewers for a playoff debut. And yet, the union's strategy seems to be, let's pretend this didn't happen. They are trying to sell the league based on stars that the casual fan, the person who actually pays for the tickets and the streaming subs, can't even pick out of a lineup. It's a bizarre form of marketing sabotage that is making the owners' jobs way too easy. This disconnect from reality is starting to have real-world consequences at the bargaining table. Right now, the owners are actually making offers that, in any other era of the WNBA, would have been considered a total win. We're talking about max salaries clearing $1 million. We're talking about a revenue-sharing model that jumps from 9% to 15%. For the average player, that means a salary of $500,000. For the rookies at the bottom, it's $250,000. That is
Paige's name didn't work, so let's try some other names. That's a good point. They used Paige's name for Unrivaled, didn't work. The Dallas Wings used Paige's name to get people in the arena during Dallas Wings games. That doesn't work. The networks, Ion, they use Paige's name to try to get people to watch on TV, and that doesn't work. So I guess just keep going down the list until one of them sticks. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's the easiest answer if you really want to sell this.
Life-changing money for athletes who just a few years ago were flying commercial and working second jobs in the off-season. But the union is framing this as disrespectful. They are pushing for numbers that resemble the NBA, a league that has been building its global footprint for 75 years. By demanding a slice of a pie that is still being baked with NBA subsidies, they aren't just asking for a raise, they are risking the entire kitchen. And that leads us to the most dangerous part of this whole saga, the strike threat. Recently, the union's social media accounts swapped their profile pictures for a simple hourglass emoji. It was supposed to be a TikTok moment, a warning to ownership that time is running out. But here's the problem with the tough guy act. You actually have to be able to afford the fight. There are over 100 players in this league who don't have secondary income. They don't have million-dollar shoe deals or unrivaled league equity. If they go on strike and the season is canceled, it wouldn't just be a career setback. For many of them, it would be a total financial offing of their professional lives. They would be walking away from the biggest paychecks of their lives based on a strategy that is currently failing to get even 2,000 people to sign a digital document. The leverage isn't just draining away, it's being poured down the drain by leadership that seems more interested in social media optics than the actual math of the business. Wait, it actually gets weirder. While the WNBA Players Association is struggling to find its footing, other shadow leagues are trying to jump in and grab the momentum. You've probably heard of Unrivaled, the new 3-on-3 league. They've been trying to use the same playbook, pushing names like Paige Buckers before she even enters the pro system, hoping that the next big thing will carry the weight. But the numbers keep coming back the same. Whether it's TV networks like Ion or independent leagues, whenever they try to swap out the actual needle mover for a placeholder star, the audience just doesn't follow. The fans aren't just women's basketball fans anymore. They are fans of the specific icons that changed the game this year. By trying to prove they don't need the person who brought the money, the union is accidentally proving that they might not know how to keep it. The owners, meanwhile, are playing the most patient game of poker you've ever seen. They aren't panicking. They aren't getting into Twitter spats. They are sitting back and watching the union's public moves backfire. Every time a petition fails or a social media stunt falls flat, the owner's offer looks better and better. They know that at the end of the day, the league is still being supported by outside capital. They know exactly who is selling the jerseys. And they know that the threat of a strike is mostly coming from a few top-tier players who can afford it, while the rank-and-file players are quietly terrified of losing their spot. It's a massive divide within the union that ownership is all too happy to exploit. They are essentially waiting for the union to realize that they've fumbled their best chance at a peaceful, massive upgrade. So where does this leave the future of the game? If this drags on, we could be looking at a lockout that kills the momentum of the greatest season in women's sports history. The fans who just showed up, the millions of people who bought their first ever WNBA cap or tuned in on a Tuesday night, they aren't going to wait around. They'll just go back to watching college hoops or move on to the next big thing. The union is acting like they have a monopoly on the audience's attention. But in the world of entertainment, that is a fatal mistake. You have to lock in the wins while the lights are bright. If they keep chasing vibes and symbolic gestures instead of signing the million-dollar deals on the table, the only thing they'll be exposed to is a cold, empty arena and a lost opportunity that may never come back. This whole situation is a masterclass in how not to handle a breakthrough moment. You have the numbers, you have the money, and you have the world's attention. But if you spend all your time trying to pretend the person who brought you there doesn't matter, you eventually find yourself standing alone. The owners aren't the ones jeopardizing the future here. They are the ones offering the biggest salaries in the history of the sport. The real danger is coming from a leadership team that is so out of touch with its own audience that they think 1,600 signatures is a power move. This story isn't over, and as the deadline approaches, the hourglass is definitely ticking. but it might be ticking for the people who thought they were in control. It's crazy to think that just a few months ago, the conversation was about infinite growth. Now, the conversation is about whether the league can even survive its own internal politics. We've seen this happen in other sports, where a union gets too far ahead of the actual revenue and ends up causing a stalling of the entire industry. But the WNBA is in a unique spot because the growth is so new. It's fragile. It's built on a specific surge of interest that needs to be nurtured, not tested with strike threats and action alerts that nobody acts on. The players deserve every cent of that $1 million offer, and the fact that their own leadership is stalling that process is the real scandal of the 2024 season. As we move toward the final negotiations, the receipts are going to be laid out for everyone to see. We're going to see who was actually looking out for the players and who was just looking for a headline. The league has a chance to be the next big thing in global sports, but only if they stop fighting the reality of their own success. If you want the real unfiltered breakdowns of how these boardroom battles are actually going down, you're in the right place. We're tracking every move, every leaked document, and every hourglass post to see where the money is actually going. This is a turning point for the sport, and the fallout is going to be felt for a decade. Keep your eyes on the numbers, because the numbers never lie, even when the petitions do. Is it a bold stand for what they're worth, or is it the ultimate fumble of a golden era? The more we look into these documents, the clearer it becomes that the official story is only half the battle. There are players behind the scenes who are reportedly furious with how this is being handled, fearing that the old guard is burning the bridge before the rest of them can cross it. If a deal doesn't get signed soon, the shocking truth won't be about the salaries. It'll be about how a league at its peak managed to trip over its own feet. Stay locked in, because this negotiation is about to get a lot more intense, and we've got the front row seat to the drama they don't want you to see.